This is a different Carolina team than the one that played Duke the first time around. The problem is, though, they took too long to figure it out.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Monday, March 10th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks so much for making us your first listen or watch of the day to get your Monday going the right way. Special shout out to all the everydayers joining us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course, our great insiders. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Well, folks, Carolina falls to Duke 82-69 to wrap the regular season. Their record is 20-12, 13-7 in ACC play going into the ACC tournament, where they will be the 5 seed on Wednesday, playing the winner of Notre Dame and Pitt. We'll get ready more for that on tomorrow's show, but just wanted to get that there. Look, it was a tough weekend, so can I just give us some good, happy news? Coach Pat Kilby and his Dale Pirates team won the Oklahoma 2A state championship on Saturday. You ready for this score? 60-20. I asked Pac on Sunday, we were texting, I was like, is this the first championship you've won as a coach or player? And he said, yes. He's made the Elite Eight 6 times, Final Four 5 times, the championship twice, but now he's got an actual championship victory to go with all that. And so I know normally we'd probably save that information for later in the show, but I was just like, we need some happy in the Locked On Tar Heels family. And so make sure you give Coach Kilby and the Dale Pirates some love. But coming up on the actual main part of the show today, we will have our Four Corners recap. Speaking of four, I'm still trying to figure out how we couldn't get a 4th foul on Cooper Flagg. That'll lead that off. We'll have the shady stat of the game, some RJ Davis love there. And we'll have our weekend whip around. A couple nice wins for the women's basketball team before they fell in the semis and all of that. But here's where we're starting today. I actually tweeted out almost verbatim what I'm about to say to you, and it got a lot of traction. So I think this must have hit something that a lot of us were feeling about this team in this season. And here's what I said. The balance to me of the frustration of the 24-25 season for North Carolina is this. On one hand, if you watched the Duke North Carolina basketball game, you realized it. And if not, I don't see how. But if you watch that game, Carolina is clearly an NCAA tournament caliber, meaning able to play at that level, basketball team. I know, sure, there might be those out there that disagree. Fine, whatever. Have your say. To me, as somebody that watches college basketball all day long, every day, it's my job. I see a team that is NCAA tournament caliber compared to other teams I see. But the other part of that balance is where the frustration comes in, because also true is that North Carolina's resume, and maybe more critically, their inability to find themselves until mid-February, is likely going to keep them out of said tournament. So let me say that again all together. If you watch Carolina Duke, Carolina is clearly an NCAA tournament caliber team. Also true, though, UNC's resume and inability to find themselves until mid-February will likely keep them out of said tournament. And that is the dilemma, friends, that we find ourselves in with Carolina, despite the loss, still in the bubble conversation. Most of the bracketology I saw updated after the weekend, Carolina was still right there just on the wrong side of the bubble. Like Lunardi's latest has had Boise State as the first team out, followed by Carolina. Now, obviously, as we get into championship week here, bid thieves could make that math worse and not in favor of the Tar Heels. But as of right now, that's where things sit. That means maybe there are going to be some teams that don't hold up their end of the bargain this week in Champ Week to do what they need to do. And maybe Carolina does, right? Some of those resumes are kind of similar, whether it's Boise State or Xavier or some of those. And let's be honest, this is all just our guess. And we don't know what the selection committee is thinking. But still, it feels like we're on the wrong side of this thing. And it's unfortunate because Carolina found themselves too late. Now, part of this for me while I believe that Carolina has been a lot better, I do still think, and I would imagine a lot of you do too, that this roster is inherently flawed. I like a lot of the young men on this team. I like the way they individually play, but the pieces just don't seem to fit the right way. And to me, that all goes back to not ever getting the big guy you needed or the consistent four, right? Like Jalen Withers has been better, didn't have a great game against Duke, thought he forced some shots, but you just didn't get those guys that really could have set apart the unique skill sets that you have in RJ Davis and Ian Jackson and Drake Powell and Seth Trimble and Elliot Cadeau. It just wasn't there. And that's unfortunate. So I still believe, yes, Carolina has gotten better, but this roster is just inherently flawed. It's the fact of the matter. Now, in the same breath, I also want to say kudos to the coaching staff for figuring out what they have to make the most of the roster they do have. But again, found it too late. And that's part of the transfer portal era, right? Sometimes it's just going to take you longer to tinker and longer to figure out who fits where and how and why. So the question now then is this: how do you do that sooner on an every season basis? How do you figure out, like, I feel like the best coaches in this era are going to be the coaches and coaching staffs, because it's not just the head coach. Clearly, this is a whole staff has to figure this out. How do we bring together our unit more quickly? That's why you see some teams like a Purdue or like a Marquette, the only two teams in power conferences that didn't bring in any transfers last year or for this year. And so you see them out of the gate more typically being ready to go. Marquette had a great start to the year. Same, Purdue. So that's the question we got to answer moving forward. It's not about, well, we stopped taking transfers. No, you got to do that. That's part of the game. Well, let's not get any high school kids. No, you need some high school kids too. It's about figuring out more quickly how to get it together. And that's tough. I don't even know that there's well, you got to follow X, Y, and Z. No, I mean, like there is no consistent pattern in this era that we're in. And I also want to remind us all, if Carolina plays like this all season, like they're playing right now, this loss doesn't matter as much. Yeah, it hurts because it's Duke, and you never want to lose to Duke. It's awful. But this loss isn't devastating from a resume standpoint. If Carolina had figured out this lineup and their current higher level of play, if they had figured that out sooner, instead of being a 12-loss team like they are right now, might be 6, 7, 8-loss team. And if so, even just cutting off 4 losses to be instead of, 20-12, if you instead were 24-8, we're having a whole different conversation here. So I was like, let me go see, can I find 4 losses and flip them to wins with this version of the Tar Heels? Yeah, I absolutely can. In the non-con, Michigan State. Carolina wins that basketball game, which would look very good right now because Michigan State is playing great. And in ACC play, Stanford, win. Wake, win. Those were back-to-back 1-point losses, one at home on a last-second shot, one on the road there at Wake. And then the game at Pitt, I think Carolina wins that one too, and then wins some other games more comfortably, I guess I should also say, like the Pitt game at home. I think Carolina wins that one. I still think there's multiple ACC games that they lose, both Duke games, probably at Clemson, and maybe even at Louisville, right? And those just turned out to be, it's like when we played Louisville, just didn't realize they were going to be the caliber they were, but they are. So there's 4 games, I think, right there that automatically flip and probably get at least one of Florida, Kansas, and Louisville. I really feel that way. But they didn't. They didn't get it. And so here's another part of the conversation that we're going to have. I don't want to have this right now, but I do want to have this offseason. And I want to talk to a lot of different people about it, get their perspective and thoughts. But Carolina has to change the way they schedule. You have to, and specifically, obviously, is non-con scheduling, because you can't really change what you do in the ACC. If your team is going to take time to gel, you have to limit your big-time non-con matchups. It's fine to play some, but not the preponderance that Carolina played this year, that's just too much for a team that didn't know what it was going to be. Even if you could take some of those and shift them into, I'd love to see teams get back to playing more games in the midst of conference play, like February, like we got with Duke and Illinois this year, or Gonzaga and Kentucky last year. I'd love to see those kind of things. So anyway, that's a conversation we need to have later. Now, though, it's time to turn the corner and look ahead to the ACC tournament, where, again, all hope is not dashed. There are opportunities ahead for Carolina, not the opportunities I wanted. We'll talk about that on Tuesday. But you got work to do. You got steep odds, but go play the basketball games. You just never know what can happen. What's up, NC State? Am I right? Like, why not? Why not? Let's go figure it out. Now, in this basketball game Saturday night against Duke, Cooper Flagg picked up 3 first half fouls. Why didn't he ever get to number 4? We'll answer that and the rest of the Four Corners recap coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Supply House, you can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to purchase ordered products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you're going to find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. You need help with an order? No problem. Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you're always going to get to talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for that extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks for an extra edge, like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Wayfair. Look, your home, it should reflect your style. And with Wayfair, it's easier than ever to make that happen. Whether you're looking for a simple refresh or you want to tackle a big home project, Wayfair's got everything you need in one place. Their huge selection makes it easy to find the perfect piece, no matter your space and no matter your budget. From cozy furniture to stylish decor to kitchen essentials and outdoor must-haves, Wayfair's got it all. And I love this, all at prices that fit your budget. I was kind of surprised to figure out that Wayfair isn't just like living room stuff. I thought that's what it was. No. They've got everything from storage solutions to patio decor, making it a great go-to anytime I want to outfit my house. I love that. I'm also really grateful that Wayfair's site makes it easy to compare various styles. Plus, your order arrives fast, and even better, that delivery is FREE free. Head on over to wayfair.com and find something that's just your style today. Again, that's wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Time for the Four Corners recap. Point number 1, Carolina did a great job on Cooper Flagg in the first half. He picked up a defensive foul early, then Drake Powell picked up an offensive foul, and then Jalen Withers just stood there watching his clock and watching the paint dry for a couple minutes before Cooper finally made it to him, and that was his third foul late in the first half. There were a couple times there early in the second, or I'm sorry, when he was back in the game in the first half before he picked up that third foul where Carolina went at him. And he wisely chose to not pick up his third foul there. But the good thing for the Tar Heels is he just was basically playing Olay defense and let guys go by, easy buckets. I'm just as pleased with that as you picking up your fourth foul because it leaves a broken wing defender in the game, basically. So Carolina's late first half surge came with that happening. And then he picked up his third, the Jalen Withers thing. Obviously, then he went to the bench for the rest of the first half. But my hope that I really wanted to see in the second half was Carolina attack him just like they were doing down the stretch of the first half. That's what it needed to be. Yes, you want to stay in the flow of your offense. You want to do what you do. You don't want to get too far out of rhythm, but that doesn't mean you don't go at him. You saw what happened when Carolina did so in the first half. And so I didn't get the lack of intentionality there. right? Like if there is a wounded duck in that situation, or a wounded blue devil, I guess to be more specific, you got to put homie out of his misery. Go at him. You know how people often talk about making referees make a choice, like, do I swallow my whistle here or do I blow it? What do I do? What do I do? Make Cooper Flagg make a decision. Get after him, get into the lane, and make him either foul you or Olay defense again and let you get to the rim. Instead, I think he picked up 4 blocks in the second half with 3 fouls. It's just, so there were some attempts, right? That's there, but you got to do better. Got to keep getting after it and make that happen. Make him pick up that 4th foul. Make him make a business decision. But instead, I feel like Carolina let him off the hook, and consequently, both he and Con Kneppel iron 5 to the entire second half. They played that entire 20 minutes. So I thought that was a big miss for Carolina, not taking advantage of that 3 first half foul scenario. 4 corners point number 2. I was wanting to find a stat that to me really typified Carolina's second half woes. It was painful because at first Carolina started the second half and it felt so much like the ending of the first half, where Carolina just had all this momentum, gained that 7-point lead, and was like, yes. So that stat is this. For the game, North Carolina shot 10 of 11 at the free throw line. Not enough volume. You know, Carolina has been doing a nice job getting to 20 or more free throw attempts a game. They haven't done so in either of the last 2, but 10 for 11, what a phenomenal percentage. You'll take that all day, every day. In fact, in the first half, Carolina was 9 of 9 from the free throw line. Perfect in 9 attempts. But now you see the problem. Oh, Carolina took 11 total free throws, and 9 of them were in the first half. Yeah, you see the problem now. In the second half, the Tar Heels attempted just two free throws and missed 1. That to me is a clear indication of not attacking, which ties in very well with the Cooper Flagg conversation we just had. It ties in with not attacking, ties in with not enough ball movement, ties in with not getting to the rim, not putting defenders in bad scenarios where they either have to give ground or hand check or something and get whistled for a foul. It ties in to me to settling for not as great shots, letting Duke take you out of what you were trying to do. So that's the bottom line. That to me is the stat, the second half. Carolina, not enough attacking, consequently just 2 free throw attempts. There was just so much isolation ball. And Duke's defense already moves well. And if you're not going to try to move the ball to get them going and out of rotation, you're not going to win. You're just simply not going to win because they can stay in front of you. I don't care if it's Common Malawach. He can do it. And so Carolina just winds up taking a whole bunch of these step back contested threes after they don't move the ball very well. That's got to get better. And you see it in the numbers. Just 8 total assists in this game for Carolina, one of the lowest assist percentages of the entire season. Those 8 assists on 25 made field goals. So there's that. 4 Corners preview. We'll do that on Wednesday ahead of the basketball game. 4 Corners recap point number 3. The second half. Carolina had built up that 7-point lead at 56-49. And, you know, it's kind of funny. Friday night, I got nervous about the game. How are you feeling? I'm curious. I got nervous about the game. I had those like pregame jitters that you get right before you go play. I know I wasn't about to go play, but it's the same kind of feeling and emotion. But then I woke up Saturday and I just felt like a calm and a peace. Like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But then the Tar Heels got up, and I was like, oh man, this could be real. This could happen. Carolina's up 7. They're rolling. They're getting out in transition. They're looking good. They're getting all these steals. They're forcing some bad shots. Yes. And then it was almost like Duke all of a sudden realized, oh, you know what? We're a really elite defensive basketball team, which unfortunately is very true about Duke. They're number 4 in the country in defensive efficiency at KenPom. So let's not allow RJ Davis to keep cooking us like he is, because RJ at that point had 20 points as of 17:43 to go. And I was like, oh, this Miami? Is this Miami last year? Are we doing this? And then he never scored again. For the final 17 minutes and 43 seconds of the game, it was like Duke suddenly realized, oh, RJ's cooking. Let's shut his water off. And the other problem is not only did Duke do that, but then Carolina couldn't stop them on the other end, and Duke shot 60.7% in the second half. You combine all that with, let's not forget, they started the game 12 of 16, built a 15-point lead. Carolina stayed connected wildly, but like for some reason, that just never felt like the lead of the first game, because Carolina, after 3 early turnovers, didn't really hurt themselves, and we'll get more to that in a second. But it was just like, man. And so I thought what happened in the second half was a combo of Duke shutting off Carolina's water and Carolina not being able to stop Duke. And I don't know if you know this, but if you can't stop your opponent defensively and they can stop you consistently defensively, you're not going to score as many points as them. And guess what? That's how basketball games are won and lost. It's the craziest thing. That's how it works. But I'd say that all in jest, but very seriously, it was a stark example of seeing basketball teams with different levels of talent. It just was. And the problem with this Duke team, as opposed to others that just have talent, this team is connected and gets it, and they've got these transfer veterans to help bring it all together. It's there. Number 4 in the Four Corners recap, I had to get in at least one silver lining stat for us, and it's turnovers. Actually, both ways. Carolina committed just 6 turnovers in this game. And I don't know, I also said, but they only also got 8 assists. So that's an issue. But Carolina had just 6 turnovers in totality for the game after having 3 in the first 3 minutes and 37 seconds. The next turnover didn't come till 11 minutes and 1 second left in the entire game, meaning that Carolina basically played 27 minutes of turnoverless basketball. That's how you put yourself in a position to win. 100%. But that 11:01, when Carolina started turning it over again, back-to-back possessions, by the way, is right as Duke was starting to get all that momentum back. So even still, committed some. Now, on the other side of it, here was the good thing about Duke's turnovers. Duke committed 14 turnovers, and 9 of those came off Carolina steals. So really, really good stuff there from the Tar Heels in terms of turnovers, but just not enough to be able, they weren't able to do enough with it to help maintain momentum. Tough one, man. It was so tough. Did you let yourself get hopeful? I kind of did, and I shouldn't have there in the second half. Well, RJ just put his name in the record book yet again. Is it a Carolina record, ACC record? What are we talking about? I'll tell you that, and some other reasons that he's doing some things at a career best level that you might not have even realized. We'll talk about all that in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. On FanDuel, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around. With tournament games happening almost every day, we got conference tournaments all this week. And starting next Tuesday, we'll have NCAA tournament games. We'll have NIT mixed in. It's going to be great. There's always exciting action going on to get in on. How about Carolina's odds to make the NCAA tournament? It's kind of grim right now, but I'll give them to you. Yes is plus 580. Yes, Carolina to get in. No, Carolina will miss is minus 1100. Yee, that's not good. Anyway, go check it all out for your shot to win $200 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Shady stat of the game, then the weekend whip around. Here you go, some RJ Davis love. Probably be doing this a couple times. That's funny that I said RJ Davis love. RJ Davis Love the third. Famous Carolina golfer, Davis Love III. Anyway, and Caleb Love. Yeah, lots of names running together. It's late at night on a Sunday. I'm probably loopy anyway. Shady stat of the game, RJ Davis, when he stepped on the floor on Saturday, became the ACC all-time leader in games played 170 of them, surpassing Armando Bacot, which you probably knew already. Now, I bring that up. I give you that as Schade style of the game appetizer because you probably already knew and heard that. The one I do want to give you the stat is something you might not have picked up on. For all the noise, for all the everything about RJ this year not shooting and whatever else as well, like the 3-point shot, which has been coming along better, here's what you might not have realized. RJ Davis right now has the best single season free throw percentage of his entire career. Did you realize that? So it's amazing how, yes, things can seem like it's like, oh, it's not great. It's the best free throw shooting season of his entire career right now, right? There's still at least one game to be played and we'll see what happens. But RJ now has the third best single season free throw shooting percentage in Carolina history. And the guy that he bumped out is RJ Davis. So RJ Davis now has the third and fourth best single season free throw shooting percentages in Carolina history. Will this one hold? We will see. Weekend whip around coming at you. The women's basketball team won on Thursday in the ACC tournament, and then on Friday faced FSU, who they needed some revenge against. FSU had won in Carmichael on a buzzer beater. It was tough, very tough to deal with. But Carolina gets this win 60-56. And here's what you need to know about FSU. They came in leading the nation in scoring, 88 points a game. Carolina held them to 56. That's 32 below their season average. That was a season low. Very well done by Carolina's defense. It was great to have Renaya Kelly back in action. She was critically helpful in that game. And Alyssa Utsby had come back in Thursday's game. By the way, Renaya Kelly hit 2 massive buckets late to build a 4-point lead with 20 seconds to go. Laney Ice in her veins Grant stepping up, the supposed to be high school senior, knocking down 2 critical free throws. Really, really good stuff there. Usby and Maria Gokdang combined for 34 rebounds, 18 for Alyssa, 16 for Maria. Carolina as a team had 53 to FSU's 40. Stat of the game, though, Carolina led 21-2 in second chance points over Florida State. They just dominated the offensive glass and then made good use of it. The unfortunate thing, though, is Carolina played NC State in the semifinals on Saturday and fell by 11, 66-55. Unfortunate stuff there, but I'm going to choose to believe the men's basketball team AC tournament fortune when they lose in the semifinal in a lot of recent years, right? It portends good things. So we'll see what happens. The ladies are tracking for probably a 4 seed right now. A little bit of some other bad news. Baseball had been undefeated, and they were hosting Stanford for the first ACC series weekend series of the season. Carolina had kind of a back and forth offensive game Friday, came back to tie it up, and then Stanford just pulled out ahead. I think when they tied it was 6-6. Stanford ends up winning 13-9, but then Carolina dominated on Saturday 11-1. Run rule, 7 innings, great stuff, season high 4 home runs. And it's like, all right, split first 2 games. You just want to win every series. That's the goal for me. I'd love to sweep them all, but at least get the series win. And Carolina could not. They were skunked on Sunday 7-0 by Stanford. So Stanford comes with the Bosch and gets a series win. That's tough. Guys got to get back on the horse. Softball, on the other hand, hosted Pitt to kick off ACC play, and they did break out the brooms and get that sweep. 3-1 on Friday, 9-2 on Saturday, and 8-4 on Sunday. Way to go, ladies. Wrestling going on, ACC championships. No updates as of yet, as of the time I'm recording. Stay tuned. For those of you, can obviously check it out on the wrestling website. Let's go to tennis. Women's tennis was in action on the road in ACC play. Friday at Clemson, they won 4-2. And yesterday, Sunday, at Georgia Tech down in Atlanta, swept them 4-0. Carolina now 13-3 on the season. 4-0 in ACC play. They got a 6-game winning streak. And last week, they were 5th in the nation. The men also on the road in ACC play. Tight matches. Tight. Friday, won 4-3 at Louisville. Sunday, won 4-3 at Notre Dame. So really close quarters there. The men are 9-4, 3-1, and they were 68th in the nation last week. Let's go to lacrosse. Women's lacrosse obliterated Louisville on Friday at Louisville 20-4. The ladies are now 7-0 on the season, 3-0 in ACC play, and they stay at number 2 in the nation. The men are not ranked, but they did beat Hofstra on Saturday 18-7. They're now 5-1 on the season. The women's golf team starting the Yale Invitational West today, so watch out for that. The men are at the John Haidt Collegiate Invitational down in Florida. That action was Saturday through today. Heading into today's action Monday, they were 5th on the leaderboard at -7. So swimming and diving has, or specifically the diving has Zone B championships that started yesterday. They're going to go through Wednesday. So any big updates, we'll let you know there. We're obviously watching out for our good friend Aranza, seeing how she can do. Gymnastics had the Elevate meet in Huntsville, Alabama against Bama, Cal, and Michigan State. And things did not go well. The ladies lost all 3 of those, unfortunately. The fencing team, Mid-Atlantic South Regional, that was on Sunday. They came out with 7 top 10 finishes. Really good stuff there. All right, guys, lots of information for you today. But again, it's that time of the year when all the sports are going. It seems like winter sports wrapping up, spring sports coming in. Man, what a time to be alive in the overlap. Absolutely. If you've not yet subscribed to our show on YouTube, go ahead, do it right now. Maybe you will be number 10,000. It's less than 10 subscribers away. It's going to be somebody. Would love to see if it could be you. If so, man, how cool would that be? If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord yet, we'd love to invite you to come find us there. Hundreds, literally hundreds of Tar Heels fans hanging out, chatting in there. It's fun. It gets rambunctious, and I don't know. Just come on and check it out, man. That link's in the show notes. And if you want to go even deeper with the show, one-on-one connection with me through the Locked On Tar Heels Insiders, you can do that. That link is also in the show notes. My pledge this offseason is going to be this. Every rumor I get about a transfer portal person, I'm dumping in that information to our Locked On Tar Heels Insiders so that they'll be the first to know when I hear about that. So there you go, guys. Look, I know, tough loss, hate it, but got to regroup, got to get ready for Wednesday. So it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow on the show to start getting ready for the ACC tournament. But until then, peace.